Assalamu alaikum friends. My name is Abdul Khalik Darwish. Now, all of us want to have a good future. All of us. But it's not necessarily going to become a good one. Like if at all in the past we were thinking that I want my future good enough, but it is not a good and good life. The what we had wanted. So, if at all we are expecting and we are wishing to our future to be a good one, happy one, that's our right actually, but we need to do certain things for that purpose. And if at all we ignore certain these important things, we will not be able to live happily in the future. And this is going to be the topic of our today's discussion. Like always, we have chosen and included the opinion of an expert so that our talk on the subject could become more and more authentic and validating one. And the kind of expert opinion we have included and chosen in our today's discussion is in the form of an article. This is a very useful, very beneficial article by Roselle Umlas. Roselle Umlas is a well-known researcher and author, and she has done a beautiful work on the applied psychology. This article is also a very useful and very beneficial one. The caption of this beautiful article is: "If you say no to these nine things, you will be happier in the long run." And if you say no to these nine things, you will be happier in the long run. That is a very very useful article indeed, because all of us want to live a happier life. All of us want to be happy in the long run. All of us want to be happy in the long run. So, for that purpose and for that reason, I believe that this article is going to be a very useful, very beneficial one on the subject. And the first out of these nine is overcommitting yourself. We should not be overcommitting ourselves at all, because excessive commitment, the sort of commitments we will not be able to handle and manage, maybe these are not good enough. These are not good at all for us. Overcommitting yourself, it's not good at all. Number one. Number two, trying to please everyone. Trying to please everyone. We cannot please everyone else at all. So it does not mean that we should start hurting other people. We have no right to hurt other people. But at the same time, it's not my duty, it's not your duty to please everyone else. Everyone else cannot be made happy at all. Everyone else cannot be pleased at all. So we don't need to aim for that. Number three, the idea of perfection. The idea of perfection. We should not be desiring, wishing to become to be a perfect person at all. No one else can become a perfect person at all. It's not humanly possible. Although we need to improve bit by bit, we need to improve. And that's all what is enough for us. Never ever try to become an expert, try to be a perfect person at all, because this too will not be allow us to become a happy person. And overcommitting yourself, trying to please everyone, the idea of perfection, reject all these three. Number four, which we have to reject is, which we have to say no, it is the unrealistic expectation from the people. Unrealistic expectations from the people. We don't need to develop and have the unrealistic expectations from the people at all, my dear friends. Why? Because what are those unrealistic expectations? Like trying to have a complete control over the situation, over the people. That's not possible humanly. And like, buying a dress and expecting to look like a model wearing it, unrealistic. Expecting your loved ones to read your mind, unrealistic. Believing you can handle multiple tasks at the same time, unrealistic. Getting your way every single time, unrealistic. Instant success, so these six are not the only unrealistic expectations. There are plenty and plenty of others as well. So we need to get rid of the unrealistic expectation. Number five, toxic people. Toxic people, we must avoid these toxic people, and never think that you will be able to protect yourself from the toxicity of these people. This is not humanly, this is not what we can, even if at all we have very good intention, we cannot stay unaffected by these toxic people. And if at all we think that by arming myself with an imaginary shield made of positive thoughts and hopes and dreams will protect me from the toxicity of this person. That is wrong. Repeated efforts to cleanse yourself with a sage stick mean making many effort to clean ourselves from the toxicity of those. This is wrong. We cannot stay with a toxic person. We must avoid these toxic people. Number 6, get your negative inner voice. Sometimes our inner voice is very negative, and don't forget to examine yourself. The damage might be coming from inside instead of the outside. So sometimes we are found saying to ourselves, you are so stupid, and give it up. You can't handle this job. Just because your inner critics say it is not necessarily true, because we are saying it to ourselves. It's not necessarily true. Don't say yourself that I'm stupid, I can't handle it, give it up. Never ever say anything negative to ourselves. you know Make friendship with yourself and be kind to yourself instead of being such a harsh critic, such a negative about yourself. It is very important to be kind and to be a good friend of yours and be kind to yourself as well. So the seventh, Anji, tell yourself that a wise person never say anything like that to someone. If at all, a wise person don't say anything like that to anyone else. Why am I saying anything like that to myself? I shouldn't be doing that. So for that purpose, I need to become a very good friend of mine. I need to be kind-hearted upon myself. So the seventh is fear of failure or rejection. Fear of failure or rejection. Don't be afraid of the failure. Don't be afraid of being rejected. That's not good at all. We need to take out this fear of rejection and failure out of the our mind. And the eighth item we need to say no is grudges and ill will against anyone else. We don't need to keep grudge against anyone else. We don't need to have ill will against anyone else. And the ninth and the last is instant gratification. All of these instant gratification, these are bad, and these are rather like a slow suicide. Never ever do this. Look upon the people who are using the drugs and who have become addicted to the drug. Why are they doing that? Because they only want the instant gratification. So that was a very useful article. If you say no to these nine things, you will be happier in the long run. Let me have a very quick revision of all that. And you know that this is beautiful article by Roselle Umlas. And now the first thing we have to say no is overcommitting yourself. The second is trying to please everyone else. The third is the idea of perfection. The fourth is the unrealistic expectation. And the fifth is toxic people. This number six is your negative inner voice. We need to avoid it. And the number seven is, fear of failure or rejection. And then it is the grudges and ill will against anyone else. And the ninth and the last is instant gratification. Dear friends, these are the nine things we do have to say no. Why? Because if at all we want to stay happy in the long term, in the long run, so for that purpose, we must be saying no to all of these nine things. These nine things are actually the killers and the enemies of our happiness, and happiness is very dear to us. We cannot afford to ignore the happiness of ours in the long run. And as for my opinion, the happiness is a legitimate purpose of life. So we have every right to become a happy person, although we have no right to make the other people unhappy. But at the same time, we have every right to become a happy person. So in that all context, as far our today's article is concerned, that is the opinion of an expert. We always include the opinion of an expert in every discussion of ours for the purpose of making our talk more like authentic one, more like a purposeful one, more like a validating one. So that was really today's article was a very, very useful and beneficial article. Thank you.